All right, we're live in three, two, one. What's up, Jackson? How you been?
Oh man, I've been good. Good to see you, man, or at
Yeah,
least virtually.
yeah, dude, it's been a minute. I'm glad we could at least do this.
Yeah, seriously, I know. I think all the time about how it's like. I remember when you left, being like, "Whoa, I wonder how long it'll be until I see Simon again," because that was literally about a year ago, and the pandemic hit, and
Yeah,
everyone scattered right when we weren't expecting it. So
I know. I think a lot more people were actually going to end up in Denver after school if the pandemic hadn't hit, but then everyone just decided to go back to their families.
yeah, I know. Hopefully people will come back, or I don't know. We'll keep in touch. I mean, it's just good to see you again. I mean,
Yeah, man, for
out a
real.
bit.
Are you still in where in Denver are you at now?
I'm right in Capitol Hill, like pretty much downtown.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I've been liking. I'm right across the street from Trader Joe's, which makes
Dude, that's how a
it a
lot
lot
of people evaluate their location, I think.
better. Their proximity to the ex grocery store.
Or dude, Trader Joe's, man.
Yeah, Trader Joe's in particular.
I just went for the to actually get groceries for the first time, and it was great. I'm definitely going back there like almost every time now.
Yeah, I know. It's especially like I know the store exactly, so I'm just like in and out because they only have like two things of everything, or like two options for everything. So
Right.
it's not like this huge array of aisles to like sort yourself through.
You
I
got
love,
your routine and everything.
yeah,
Dude, I had that at Safeway when we were going to school in Denver. I just like knew the aisles, hit it, got my
yeah,
stuff, just same routine like every week.
yeah. You can't not overstate how much value that adds. I'd pay more for that.
Yeah. Well, dude, I was pretty excited to see in your post like that you're doing a live show again with your band. I'm bummed I can't be out there, but that's cool to see, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm super pumped about it. It feels so good. Um, it's been yeah. I mean, it's pretty poetic because there. So right when the pandemic hit, it was Friday the 13th, March 13th, and we had a show that we had promoted as Friday the 13th that we had been planning for months with
Oh yeah.
Border Bar. We were gonna play at like 11:30, right, their peak hours, and I was just really pumped about it. And it's just funny because we were like picking Fridays, and we're like, at that time we had no clue about what was about to come. And we are like, I guess the 13th works well for both of us. And they're like, but it's Friday the 13th. Like, should we really do that? Is that going to be like a bad idea, or is that going to jinx it?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh no, it doesn't matter. We're like, no, well, and then the bar, yeah, and then the bar owner was like, oh no, we'll just promote it that way. That's cool. That's like edgy, like Friday the 13th at the border. I like the sound of that. Like,
That was at the border. Nice.
yeah, and so yeah, I mean that's the flyer. I still have it, Friday the 13th at the border, and then we had to end up actually cancel it because that was like the first day everything shut down. Like that was when there was the run on the grocery stores and everything was getting canceled, and we were just like, this doesn't seem like the right day to do a show, so we canceled it. And this was with Jack Cody, by the way. I forgot to mention Jack. You know Jack, right?
I know Jack. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was all with him, and we were trying to sort out how to navigate the situation because we were so conflicted. Because I don't know, everything was so weird then. But not to dwell on that, I'm really excited because
You're back, man.
yeah, no, and long story. That's the long story, long version of the story. But this first show I actually have like a prequel to the one I posted on Instagram. The first time us performing again is also going to be on March 13th. It's literally like a full like
You full
trip
year.
around the sun of
Yeah.
like we canceled the show and now we have a show.
Dude, that is poetic for sure.
Yeah.
So what were you doing with your band in the meantime? Were you still getting like practice in with them, or because they're Jackson Trio, right?
Yeah. When we do live stuff, we go by the Jackson Harkness Trio, just because like there's a lot of different people that have like come on the records. It's just Jackson Harkness, or just that's kind of the branding we went with. But like when we're playing live, I like to make sure that Adriana and Tucker are like recognized because they're just so awesome live. They add so much. It's so fun playing with them. Yeah, but what we've been doing is like occasionally pulsing in. So like we we weren't playing shows because like, I guess it was really uncertain over the summer what was the deal. And then once it started, we started realizing how safe outdoor shows are.
Right.
It got cold in Denver. So we had been kind of like on hiatus, but like every 2 months we would just like meet up and play together, sometimes with masks when it was like higher numbers. And I think that's helped us like kind of be able to be ready pretty quick still. Like it's still, the songs kind of never like fully left our fingers, you know?
Right. And then wait, so there's Adriana and what's the other person's name?
Tucker. So Adriana Perez and
Yeah.
then Tucker Smith.
And what do they play in the trio?
Adriana plays drums and Tucker plays bass. And then Tucker is also a really good singer, so he helps out with harmonies, and then he'll occasionally do some covers with like singing. So he's
Nice.
a really fun person to play with. Yeah, and then they also like record their parts on the album. But then there's just a bunch of layers that get added. Right. And that was kind of the issue where it's like this doesn't sound like a trio anymore, because like trio normally means like 3 instruments.
Yeah, sounds like double that or something.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to be getting back to it. And like, I did not realize, well, I knew before how important it was, like for my, like my love for music, just like the ability to play for people in person. Like I knew it, but I feel like I really like know it now.
Yeah.
You know, like it always
having a break from it, you realize what you're missing and you're just
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, I totally feel that. So were you working at Cisco now or Dish? Is that no?
Max is working at Cisco.
Okay.
I'm working at a company called Power Engineers.
Power Engineers, nice.
And we basically are like just an engineering consultant for utility companies. And I guess we have tons of clients. I shouldn't say just utility companies, but what I work on is mostly utility companies.
Gotcha. Would you say you're electrical engineering, right? Or
yeah.
Would you say that prepared you at all for your job, or was there a lot of useful information from your major, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like after the first 2 years, a lot of that information I'm just not going to use.
Right.
Just like, yeah, I haven't done like calculus. Like I haven't taken it. For sure. And that was so much of my education, but I don't know. But like, I guess that the thing I use a lot is just like the circuits class, basically.
Right. So when they hire you as a contractor, what do you usually do for the utility companies?
There's lots of different like divisions in the company that do different things, but what we do is I mostly work on substations. So I particularly they call it protection engineering. And that is basically programming all the devices that are measuring current and voltage and other parameters in different places at a given time, and like making decisions on when something bad is happening, right? And being able to react instant, like the thing just automatically turns off when it recognizes it. So like, okay, basically the fancy version of like your power strip, where it like or like a fuse or something, you know, like yeah. But like
automating the system.
Yeah, but these days it's more like computers doing it now, or like mini computers.
Right. So they kind of send you out to wherever those devices need to be programmed, or can you just do it through the cloud?
Yeah, most of the type of work I do, like I think that is a thing sometimes. I think that I haven't done a ton of it yet. I think I will more later. But a lot of the stuff we do is we use modeling softwares, like short circuit modeling, where we like enter in you kind of create a model of the power system and get an idea of what the levels will be there. And then like based on that, you do the testing kind of. So it's not, it's a lot of it's all desk work still pretty much. But okay, I shouldn't say all. I've been out in the field a bit, and like you do go out depending on if that's the need of the project. Right. But like with the stuff I've been working on so far has just been, you sort of create a model of the situation and then figure out what, you have to, it's all about kind of like you're given this device you need to give settings for. Okay. And they're like, this is the scope of this device. This is what you need to do, you know?
Right,
And
right.
then you're kind of, then you just model to figure out, okay, well, here are the current levels that are expected.
No, I get what you're saying. Just
All
kind of
that.
simulating the system and then figuring
Yeah.
out what would be the right solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you enjoying it so far? Is it something you can see yourself being long term in, or do you want
Yeah.
to? It seems like you want to do music long term, but um,
I don't know. It's kind of always been the dream, but I like engineering too. It doesn't like I still enjoy what I do.
that's good.
Um, I think that like, you know, it'd be really awesome if I could switch over to doing like some of each or like working part-time and then doing, you know, having time for more music, you know. Um, but for now it's cool. The company is really, it's an awesome company to work for. That's what a big part of it. And also like I like the style of being a consultant. It was kind of hard at first, but I sort of make my own hours, and not I don't make my own hours. That's the wrong way of putting it. Like I kind of network myself within the company to find work. That's a better way of way better way of putting it.
Okay.
Um,
So you like you kind of have your project deadline, and then you can kind of work the hours you want to get that to finish in time for the deadline.
yeah, I mean I still should probably be like ready during 8 to 5 unless I'm on vacation
Right.
or like have a reason. But like it's a very flexible company. I mean yeah, they're very flexible, but it's, I mean, even for myself, it's better to just be there 8 to 5 because for the most part, at least, because that's when other people are on.
Right,
You
right.
can talk to them, but
And the learning curve's been okay, or you said it was kind of hard at first?
yeah, well, the hard part about being a consultant is you have to be very specific about this is how much time I'm spending on a given task because that's how the project gets billed basically.
Okay, right.
So um, that's a lot to keep track of, but I've kind of gotten the hang of it, and now I like it. I guess what I was getting to is that it provides a lot of like opportunity. I think working the way because like there's a lot of different things I could do in the company. Like protection is just one thing, but there's like a bunch of other different stuff I could go try. And if I'm just feeling like I want to go do that, then I do that. Like I don't really get, it hasn't been very often where someone's told me they need to do something like they ask, can you take on this project? And that's kind of cool because like I can sort of make my own path a little bit, you know?
Right, right. And you can learn a lot on the way, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you just see a lot of different things at once and you get a big picture view.
Was the finding the job kind of hard at first, or were you able to land that job pretty quickly? Because I feel like I kind of lost touch with everyone as they were looking for jobs during the pandemic.
Yeah, I lucked out because I got the job right before the pandemic.
Nice, nice.
And thankfully, like the utility sector or like the power sector hasn't been too affected by it. So like I mean, it was really great.
Anything that you get more, you get more
Yeah.
from it, right? Everyone's at home.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors. I guess for a while, like I guess for a while there was some machines and stuff that weren't getting run in factories.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I guess that would
But
make sense.
that kind of changed quick, I think.
Right, right, right. As things started lifting up. But hadn't you talked about, or maybe you were working there before it was a place that was doing audio engineering, or I don't know if you acoustic engineering, is that what you call it?
Um, yeah, audio engineering. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you working there, or was that something you had wanted to do?
Well, I did an internship at a company that makes synthesizers in Denver, a local company called WMD, William Mathewson Devices.
Nice.
And yeah, they make a bunch of really cool stuff. They make like I'm bad at saying this, Euro rack modules.
I don't know what is that, because I don't think a lot of people would know.
Yeah, it's these small little synthesizers about the, I don't know, size of your hand maybe,
Right.
that screw into these racks, like they're all kind of a standard, um, dimension. And it's something used by DJs that want to use all analog synths, or not all analog, but like have specifically wired circuitry with some analog and all that. And then they can make these Eurorack modules and then mix and match in crazy ways, because like the way the synths work is that you can have one synth controlling what another synth does and vice versa. And it's just like,
And so what does like a synth do to sound? Because I've always been confused how that works. Maybe, I don't know. Do you know?
yeah, well, I mean, it does a lot of things. It basically creates, I mean, with a speaker, voltage is sound. So a synthesizer is something that creates voltage, in a way that is just fully electronic, but then puts that through a speaker. So that's what a synth like truly is, if that makes sense. Maybe
So
that was a weird way of putting it, but
how does
like,
voltage translate to sound?
because if you move, because sound is just, when you hear sound, it's pressure molecule is like moving back and forth, like oscillating in the air. So
Right.
like air is getting pushed in one spot. Like when I talk out, it pushes air out.
Right.
And that makes basically a bunch of like, you could simplify it and call it a sine wave, just
Yeah.
a simple frequency. You're hearing a frequency when that happens.
Right.
And that's what you're creating a frequency. So you're basically creating a sine wave of a given frequency, electronically, like basically like just creating that perfect sine wave. And that would be like there is a synth like that that's like a sine synth where it's just like a really simple tone.
Gotcha.
But that's like a really simple tone, like that has like no, then you just like add a bunch of other stuff. There's overtones and all sorts of stuff, but it's just kind of like it recreates all that stuff for you. And you can and have synths control things like the dynamics of sound as well, like how fast this synth attacks. So like it gets like how much it fades in or out, basically. Like
Okay.
when you hit the keyboard, you can make it like be really like washy as it comes in, or it can be like punchy like a drum,
Right.
and you
And
can
then
control all that stuff with like, they call it an envelope, but you can just, it's just these devices that kind of do all those types of things. And it's all just like a mess of wires of these guys like patching different sounds to like control other things, if that makes sense. So you can have one sine wave be controlling the amount this other synth envelope changes. So like the amount it's fading in and out is being controlled by another synth, and then all sorts of crazy stuff. Maybe I'm getting in a rabbit hole, but
yeah, I know. I mean, it sounds pretty interesting. So the synths are altering the voltage, which is sending like the wave out of the speaker, pretty much.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because basically what happens is that sine wave gets recreated with the speaker. It's like the opposite of a microphone, if you want to think about it that way. Like a synth doesn't include that microphone, it's just creating the signal directly, but it's converting that signal to airwaves.
Okay. No, I think I get it now. But that's cool. And you didn't think about doing were you looking at a career in mute or sound engineering? Because that sounds, I don't know, making synth sounds pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I definitely was. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't necessarily ruled it out is one thing,
Right.
but I took a few power classes and I really liked it.
Power,
And
what are power classes?
or just like power engineering
Oh,
classes,
power classes. Sorry.
like because like a few electives at the engineering school.
Yeah.
And yeah, that plus just knowing that our, the fossil fuel consumption and all that is kind of an impending issue,
Yeah.
and that I guess that's kind of the main inspiration, is it's like that's feels like it's just something that feels good because it's really important. And I also just found it interesting. And I mean, I really love the sound engineering stuff, but I like kind of love it as a hobby too. Like it's super fun to just be able to do it all the time. And part of me felt like it might be better to not try to make that my career, because then I might be burnt out on music in general once I come home.
Right.
Whereas I kind of like this, where it's just a simple like separation, and it's just like another thing that's cool that I do for vocation. And then I just feel like I have the freedom to do the avocation and just kind of not either, they don't bleed into each other, it's kind of nice in that sense.
Yeah. No, it's cool how you like think about power systems as something we need to work on for the future in terms of renewable energy and all that. Is that something like you work on at all, like power from solar or wind or anything with your company now?
Yeah, definitely. I recently was working on a project with like wind farms and controlling voltage.
That's really cool. In
Moving a
Colorado?
wind farm. Yeah, near the area. I don't know. I can't get too on specifics with things. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's cool that you get to work with renewable energy. Um, that's definitely the future. You have you been investing at all in renewable energy companies? I know that a lot of my friends have, and could be a pretty profitable industry.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. I haven't gotten into I haven't not I've never really invested, and I'm actually just starting to think about doing it. So maybe I'll think about it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
as long as you don't do GameStop, you know.
Yeah,
I was
that
talking
was
to
such a big
CJ
deal.
about that. He hopped on the train early enough, but didn't get off at the right time, and I think that happened to a lot of people. Yeah, I was. Did you hear? I mean, did you hear or read the news about that at all?
Oh yeah, I skimmed it. I didn't get into it myself or anything, but yeah, I still don't quite understand. I didn't dig into it enough to know like how it happened exactly. Like I know that it was like a Reddit, um, feed and or like a subreddit or something, and
Wall
this
Street
dude
bets.
kind of basically used the subreddit to work the economy and or the stock market and just like shoot up the value because I think he just kind of coordinated everyone buying it. Was that it? Or
Well, what happened was a lot of people on Wall Street had shorted GameStop. So basically they bet you can make money on betting on stocks going down. So Wall Street bets was basically trying to help out the little man and screw Wall Street. And they're like, let's bring it up. Like this company's worth more than it actually is. And all these people on Wall Street who shorted GameStop are going to lose a bunch of money. So everyone just started buying GameStop, and that's how it just went up, and then it caused a whole other thing issues. But I don't think we need to get into that
that's
rabbit hole.
okay.
I want to actually talk about more about like how you got into music. Have you always been, you say, a creative musical person, or did you get into it later in your life?
I was pretty young. I don't know. I guess about like my grandpa played guitar and he would play when he visited, at least earlier when I was pretty young. So I was always just like loved his guitar. And I would, yeah, I kind of asked for it from a young age and I got one when I was 9. So that's kind of,
Wow.
it's hard to remember at this point. It's hard to remember
Yeah.
not having it, you know?
Right, right. And guitar was always your go-to instrument, or did you ever do piano? Because I know a lot of kids when they were younger would, or at least their parents would make them start with piano. But
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't know why I breezed over that, but yeah, I started piano when
okay.
I started piano in second grade, so it was only like a year before.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think it's actually a really good idea um, to do that because if you only start with the guitar, it doesn't make much sense. Like you think about the guitar in shapes of fingers, but the piano is laid out note by note in order.
Right.
So it's like I feel like it's good to know, okay, this is actually how it works. Like it's pitches going up in order. Because on the guitar, it's not like that because you can play the same note in up to 5 places, different places, but the same exact pitch, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. No, I've tried guitar before, and then I'd be like, why is there, it goes like, or what did I say? Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye, Eddie. Like EAG, or no, Eddie, yeah,
Yeah.
GBE. I was like, why is the guitar even like organized like that? I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. I taught guitar lessons a decent amount to just like little kids that wanted to start it.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was always about getting that acronym down for the student. Like, because they never wanted to, for some reason, I could never get anyone to stick with an acronym I did. They'd be like, no, I want to think of my own.
Really?
So, yeah. Or
Well,
they'd be like, that one's bad. Like, I don't know, kids are really funny. And I'd be like, okay, so we'll think of a better one for you. Or
what was your go-to acronym that, well, I guess it didn't work out.
yeah, I'm trying to remember the last one I had and I can't remember. It was they knew it better than I did. That's the funny thing. I know the notes, but I would always forget the acronym. But they
Right.
would remember the acronym and then still forget to tune their guitar. But
That's funny. So when were you doing these guitar lessons? Pretty recently, I'm guessing.
I started doing guitar lessons when I was I think it was when I was 15.
Oh wow, so really young.
Yeah, it was like for the early parts, it was like sort of like the cheap option for like a parent that wanted to try it out in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
It was like I had been playing for like that would have been 6 years by then.
Yeah.
So like I kind of knew like how to get started. And I was like a lot cheaper than your average because I was
Oh, for
15.
sure. But I feel like at 15, that was probably like a pretty nice wage.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't need much and I didn't have to like do long hours, Um, so yeah, it was fun. And like students would come and go. It was kind of hard to ever get one super, I don't know, dedicated. I had one experience that was really cool where I did volunteering and it was an adult at this who kind of had like a mental or yeah, he was, the nonprofit, he was helped by them, and the nonprofit I worked for. So I like met him and he just really took on to it. Um,
That's
yeah.
really cool. Yeah. And during those, I guess, 6 years before you started teaching, were you taking lessons from someone, or would you just spend a lot of time on your own practicing?
Oh yeah. I did lessons up until, well, I guess I still do lessons now. Like I did a voice lesson today, but
Oh,
um, yeah, I guess I kind of always been doing them. I stopped taking guitar lessons when I was 15 when I started teaching.
yeah, yeah. That sounds like a good point to do it. How'd you
Well,
decide you're like, I'm good enough to not take lessons anymore? Like, what
kind
was
of,
the
it
point?
kind of was bestowed upon me. I had like I don't know, a guitar teacher fire me.
What? How'd that
Or
happen?
like not me, but my parents. I don't know. I was gonna tell him I didn't want to do them anymore too. So
Yeah.
it kind of worked out well. But yeah, he got like annoyed at my parents because what did he get? I don't know. He got like really ticked off about something. He kind of freaked out.
Oh,
It was like my parents came to the show and then like left for the opener or something because they wanted food. It was something like that. And he was like, I
oh
think it's
my
really rude you like left for like the opening band, but like we didn't know the opening band.
wow. Wow. You must have, that teacher must have been had a high reputation or something if he was getting mad at those little things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was a pretty good teacher. Maybe there was more to the story. I was pretty young, I guess, still,
That's
but
true. That's true. Well, it sounds like it all worked out. I guess you were ready to leave.
yeah.
He he didn't want to teach you anymore, and then you
Yeah.
got to teach. So that's good. But
Yeah.
so did you just start doing voice lessons, or have you been doing those for a little while?
So I started doing voice lessons when I did choir in high school, like just
I didn't
private.
know that.
There was this cool thing where you could like leave choir class and go to this private teacher for like a discounted rate for just a quick 30-minute lesson.
Yeah.
And I still work with the same guy, Jerry. He's awesome.
Cool.
And I hadn't done them with him much because he's in Minnesota, but
Right.
he started doing the virtual lessons. I guess he was doing them before, but the pandemic made me realize like this, like I'm just gonna do it, and it's been great. The online lessons actually work really well. Um, but yeah, he's super good. He's helped a lot. I probably wouldn't be nearly as good at singing if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. So how I'm kind of curious, like how does a voice lesson work, and how do you feel yourself improving with them?
A lot of it's just about the fact that they can hear you and you can't. I mean, that's a huge part of it. But
Right.
then they know what to listen for and look for with like proper technique. Um, but the nice thing about Jerry is he really knows the technique, but he's not like a lot of people who know the technique are very classical and they'll want to just like sing classical music with you and have you train on that. But
Right.
Jerry always knew like, no, he's not about this. Like he wants to sing, you know, like folk music. I'm not going to try to make him sing classical music. He wants to sing like Bob Dylan, you know?
Right.
So he's just kind of really great at training me how to like control it and not make it like be messing up my voice or anything or sounding forced or like helping, you know, just like with pitch issues and all that stuff.
Right. So when you have a pitch issue, what would be like some advice he'd give you on how to fix that?
He'll be like, the reason you're flat on that is because you weren't holding the right shape in your mouth. So like, you have like different levels of shape and like,
I didn't know that.
I don't know. A lot of it's like you have to be ready for the note that's about to come, not the one that you're on, if that makes sense. So like you have a different shape in your, to make the voice work on a higher note, you change your voice, the shape of your voice slightly. But if you are on a lower note jumping up to a higher note, if you make that space before you get there, it sounds then you're way better because you're like not having to adjust to the pitch, you know, you're just there.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And then I guess if you were to perform live, you better hope you're not having like a cold or something, right? Because that could, or maybe it could help give you like a little rasp or something.
Yeah, it can be stressful with that. I've had that definitely a few times with shows where it's like, shit, now I'm getting sick. But throat coat usually helps a lot. I mean, before the pandemic, obviously, like when it was normal to have a sore throat and go do something still.
Right. That makes sense. Dang. So when you were like performing at shows, would you usually try to, you know, get a little intoxicated, or like what would give you your perfect level and get you in the zone when you're performing?
Oh, honestly, if I could keep myself to it, like 2 beers is good.
2 beers is good.
Yeah, like I don't think less is
You
good.
could keep
More
yourself.
isn't. Less isn't good and more isn't good.
Okay.
But you can lean a little bit, or you know, depends what time it is, kind of thing. It depends how intoxicated the crowd is too.
That's a very good point, because I remember seeing you feeling pretty good at like one of the house party concerts, but that's a different type of concert in itself. So that's definitely probably the type of one where you want to go a bit harder.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I mean, it's fun both ways, I will say. But I think you probably sound, I mean, it's undeniable you sound better when you're not more than a couple years in.
Right. No.
But I got this show with a $75 beer tab for the band. So
oh, hell
we'll
yeah.
see where that lands.
I mean, just you'll start off strong and then get stronger as the night goes on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And are you still I guess recording and making new music?
Yeah. I've been doing lots of that stuff. I'm just kind of thinking, since the pandemic started, I've just been grinding away with the help of Adriana mixing. I hired her as like audio engineer.
Nice.
Or not hired, maybe a strong word. Like she's helping me out. And I've been working on these 8 songs that I want to do an album on. So I've been really pumped about it. It's been a lot of work, but I've honestly, the time away has allowed me to really, really dig into, you know, how, I don't know, giving production the time it deserved. I was always trying to rush the other songs to get out.
Right.
I'm really excited to share it. And then after this, I've kind of like waited on songwriting because of it, because I'm just really excited for like no backlog, because I feel like there's this feeling of, as a songwriter, like, oh, there's all these songs I want people to hear, and I got to do all this work to get it out there.
Right.
And it's like, it kind of makes you not want to write more, because there's like, I have all these other ones. And I'm kind of like, these songs, I really like a lot of them, but also a lot of them I wrote a while ago and they've grown since then. But like, it's just like exciting when you can be doing new stuff. So I think that I'm really excited to share, because it's been a long time in the making. Like some of the songs I wrote when I was in high school still. So
oh, wow.
Yeah.
You really been what took you, I guess, so long to want to put them out until now?
I guess it's just honing my craft partially, like in terms of I don't know, it's just like very pricey to, I was never happy with the way they sounded when I was in high school, because I would do like DIY things, and I didn't really know what I was doing
Right.
because, I never really wanted to spend, the $10,000 to $20,000 it would be to like actually do it justice to hire someone
Okay.
um and like use their studio now and stuff. But since I did the audio classes at DU and like met some people like Adriana who like are really good at doing like cheap home recording, and you kind of know what you're doing, you can do it pretty good justice for like so much cheaper.
I see what you're saying.
So it's just kind of been like, honestly, I guess, and then I just got through school and got distracted, and I don't know. I guess it's just I always was kind of tweaking them. I always tweak lyrics a little bit now and then.
Okay. So when you were in high school, had you actually done like we'll just say like a crappy recording, but of the kind of similar song you're going to release now?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, and I guess crappy wouldn't be the right term.
Sorry
Like
about it.
there's like other. I'm like, yeah, there's just like other ones that are like. Yeah, it wasn't really until I was in college that I like kind of knew how to do recording. So I have some like, yeah, some of these songs I do have older versions of, but yeah, I wouldn't want to like release those as much.
I see what you're saying.
I
Yeah.
guess crap is fair. Yeah.
No, I mean,
My
I
voice is
just didn't
also
have
like,
the technology to record in like the quality you wanted. I
yeah,
think
exactly.
the majority of that. But how do you even like come up with your lyrics? I don't know. That's always something I always wonder when artists like create new music. Like, how do they get inspired to write their lyrics?
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's like it's hard because I feel like it's like different every time. Like
Right.
you can't ever try to like I've kind of given up on trying to repeat the process the same way. Because I've always like when it really worked, I'm like, wow, that was so easy that time. That one went fast and I felt good about that song as I wrote it.
Yeah.
Like, how did I get that? And it was more like I feel like it's more the inspiration almost that you're looking for, like, I don't know, the feeling you're trying to convey. I guess that's it. Like, I think it's gotten easier for me the more I've been how to like basically I start with just playing the music, playing my
Okay.
instruments and like getting sound finding something, sonically that I like just to mess with as I'm messing around. And then I'm like, okay, like then you kind of dig into like how you're feeling, and then like it kind of just sort of becomes that, and then you start to try to piece together how that feeling is like a story, and like how do you convey that in a way that other people know and relate to. And I don't know, the more I think about it, I feel like songwriting is like sort of just, at least my style of songwriting, like sort of like a pocket of emotion. And like it's so hard to communicate with people, like we only have words and
Right.
facial expressions and stuff, which can say a lot, but like some things are just like really kind of just like, I don't know, that's just for me, that's how when a song really hits me that I love, it's just like, oh, I know exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's kind of what I'm going for.
that's super deep, man. Like seriously. um, and then when you're the music you're listening to when you're writing, is that something you had like pre-played and you're like, oh, this sounds really good and this is like what my emotions are telling me to play, and then you go off that to write your lyrics?
Yeah, that happens a decent amount of the time. Other times it happen. Other times it happen at the same time. I mean, a lot of times also like I'll think of like a few lines that come to my mouth. I guess that sounds weird the way that came out, but like they just like that's kind of how it like just like, oh yeah, that's almost just like using words that and sentences and making them up, and like you grab a handful of them and then you kind of play with them, and then you kind of it's a puzzle, and then you maybe just scratch that, and it's just like you keep trying and give it like some elbow grease for a while, and like, oh, I like that, that's kind of what I'm going for. Other times it comes quick and you're like, oh yeah, that's, and I don't know, I guess you have to also listen for like not only does it mean something, but it has to roll off the tongue at least as best as possible for it
Yeah,
to be like a good lyric.
I get what you're saying. And then I guess once you have that, like the music you had pre-recorded and your lyrics, how do you decide to add on Adriana or Tucker or whoever else you're going to add to the track, and with like keeping the emotion and like the message you were feeling when you wrote it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's usually just kind of, I really try to write my songs so it's like it can function in like with any amount, you know, or not any amount, but like it could be just an acoustic guitar. I try to write most of my songs that I could just perform that solo if I wanted to or like needed to, whatever. Just because that's kind of how I always wrote songs. Because I was a solo artist for like the first, or not solo, but like I only played alone. Like I didn't collaborate that much in bands until I was 16. So like, and then by then I had been writing songs for probably 5 years. So like that's kind of how I got started, and it's never changed. So all my songs kind of start that way, and then it's just kind of like during practice, like Adriana and Tucker kind of feel out how the song is vibing, and then they kind of come up with parts, and we talk about it. We give each other feedback, and then it kind of just like, oh, that's a good drum and bass, and so that's kind of figuring out the live. That's mostly when I do that. That's like, oh, we have a show coming up. Let's figure this out, you know? And then once we have that, then it's like a template, I guess. I don't know. Then you have like the beat or whatever, or like the group, like the song plus like the full band. And then after that, a lot of times that's just how we track.
Right.
And then once you have that, you just layer on, get a little bit inebriated and just record layers and see what sounds cool and mess in Pro Tools and edit and chop and paste and all that stuff. And then record vocals on top and harmonies and stuff. Just a bunch of layers. That's the long part. It's just so much layers, so much picking the best take, so much moving this to one spot, this to another spot. But it's fun. I mean, it's a really fun process. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like your baby, man. Just growing with everything you put into it. That's crazy. I saw you got a mic up there. Is there any new, I don't know if it'll work well over Zoom with the internet and anything, but was there any, little preview you could show for your album coming out?
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, I have the mic back there, and it's actually funny because I mentioned, I had the voice lesson today. Yeah. Normally we do the mic over Zoom, but I was having issues with it's not working, the whole setup, my interface today. So, but nonetheless, I think the computer speakers seem to work pretty well for my voice teacher.
Cool. Yeah, it's coming in clear.
Okay, I'm trying to think of let me look at the list. This is I should have thought of my preview song. I know the list in my head as well. What are we feeling? What kind of energy? Soft, quiet, or soft and quiet are the same? Soft or loud, energetic, sad?
I'm down to end on like a chill note.
All right. Let's do Apathy. This one's a good one. This is a newer one.
Cool.
It's relevant to the time. Killing me, and the hunger isn't starving you, and we don't see what we breathe. We got no need to move. We got no need to move. 'Cause the anger doesn't point at us. Pistols don't point at you, but then they point at a school. We got no need to move. We got no
Dude, that was beautiful. I loved it, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's called Apathy.
Apathy.
Written from not my perspective on that one. Perspective of someone who's apathetic.
Dude, I'm so excited for your album to come out and for everyone to listen, because I actually that was really awesome. Just you soloing it, and I can't even imagine like all the layers and all that. That's sweet, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So before we go, I decided I should try to kind of ask one question to everyone I have on the podcast before they leave. And it is, what do you want to accomplish before you turn 30? Because the podcast is called 30 and Under.
Oh, it's called 30 and Under.
Yeah.
What do I want to accomplish before I'm 30? Ooh. I want to go to Norway.
To Norway? Hell yeah. Well, that's a good one, man. I haven't been there. Actually, I think I have been there before, but I hope you make it soon. And are there any shout outs you want to do, or tell anyone about where they can find your album before you leave?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to Sophie Zachary for being the best, and also putting up with me recording the album, because we share an apartment now. So shout out to her, and everyone else for like just, being so, everyone who's gone to the shows and been so supportive. You, man, thanks for having me on. It means a lot. And yeah, you can check out the album. Well, you can check out any of my music, or the 4 songs I have recorded right now, on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, basically any streaming service out there, even SoundCloud. Just search my name, Jackson Harkness, and it should probably pop up. And yeah, just, I'm hoping for like this summer on the album. And maybe if I get too impatient, I'll drop a single. We'll see. But
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, but yeah, just follow me on there or Instagram, and you'll be able to find it.
All right. Well, really appreciate having you on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thanks for having me on. This was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right.